Let me make it clear, my very first and foremost is that I believe all Oregonians are entitled to clean drinking water. Two of my colleagues have already talked about the $538 million. I believe that there should be an audit of those funds and figure out where they were spent, if they were spent wisely. And because I also have people in my district that received those funds, and I agree with Rep. Scharf, everybody knew where those funds were going because they were a capital construction ask or something else that had to do with water and sewer applications. So if people said they didn't know where that money went, I don't agree with that. But it would be nice to have them audit those funds to see where they're at. Half of my community still needs additional funds because the inflation brought those up, and they're still working on getting some of those things completed. The Confederated Tribes of the Umatilla Indian Reservation, where I live, have worked with us directly, all the farmers and ranchers, for the last 35 to 40 years. Mm-hmm. We've developed the LAGWAMA, okay, it's the lower Umatilla Basin Agricultural Water Management Area. And we've developed the Crust 1 and the Crust 2 with the governor's office in complete agreement with that as well. And so that was left out of your audit because it doesn't talk about how the tribes in my basin have been involved from day one in the water issues there. You talked about agency involvement, but yet the agencies I spoke to, which were numerous agencies, they said they received a questionnaire from you that they were told to fill out, but they never met with you personally. And so I would beg that difference, that doesn't include agency involvement. And so if you're going to involve some agency or people, you need to have a roundtable discussion with them. So it wasn't complete in your details. I have like 7 pages of questions because I've read it like 50 times. And I have like 2 more things, and then I will direct the rest of the questions to you through the rest of our committee so everybody can see what my questions were. The other thing that, so you said that 20% of Oregon is water insecure. But in those 20%, that is mostly people who drill personal wells. So I have water in my house as a personal well. So the state cannot guarantee that where you drill a well is going to get you water, nor can they guarantee that the water that you get out of that well is clean and pure water. Okay, so mine's high in iron, and because I also live in a critical groundwater area, it could possibly be high in nitrates. So we just automatically put a filter on our water so that we have safe drinking water. And so I think that you need to have additional information on that because it doesn't reflect region by region area on what the water insecurities are for those 20%. And I just have one more. I want to know how much this cost your agency to do this test or to do this report.
Representative Helm, Rep. Levy, we don't have the information on the cost of this particular.
You can send it to us
right,
later.
But we can send it later.
And I apologize once again for being late.
And Rep. Helm, if I may add some comments in terms of some of the questions that have been raised and the disagreement with the funding information. So I may have misspoke in terms of the particular funding. So the funding that Representative Scharf had mentioned specifically, my answer was probably to a different funding in general, because some of the questions that we asked around was, what are your funding needs? What does it take for you to get the funding? And some of the information we got was sometimes we don't know what the funding is available, or we don't know how to apply for them. So I apologize for that information. It's not directly to the specific funding that was brought up. And then another concern that was brought up in terms of engaging with the agencies, we did send out a questionnaire to them, and we gave them the option of meeting with us one-on-one. Some of them took that opportunity and had a meeting with us, and some of them, majority of them, opted not to meet with us, but instead just submitted their questionnaire. Thank you.
Chair Helm and the committee, I have a few comments to add to that. We did speak with the Confederated Tribes of the Umatilla, and they shared some of the concerns that other tribes did. You know, the tribes are each their own distinct entity. They have differing levels of capacity and differing needs. And our point in the report is that they kind of need to be met where they're at and engaged appropriately. As for meeting with the agencies, we did meet with several agencies, and some of them we met with them multiple times, like DEQ, WRD. We met with the governor's office. We met with OWEB. Others that have a slightly less very, very direct involvement with water. We tried to meet with some of them one-on-one, but we ended up sending them quite a lengthy survey instead, and they filled that out. On the point of the wells, I don't believe that our statement was that people with wells are water insecure, but they may be at higher risk, specifically because people with private wells aren't necessarily covered under the Safe Drinking Water Act, and we don't necessarily have a lot of information on them. And it is such a large and variable group that it's hard to, it's hard to measure, it's hard to manage. So that is an increased risk for that community. I just wanted to make those points. Thank you.